And we're back, YouTube. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I appreciate that. And today, let's talk about a game called Oblitus. Now, Oblitus is a 2D platform game, and the developer has stated that this game is inspired by Dark Souls. So that got my attention. I played it, and here's my review. Now, first thing you'll notice when you play this game, you start it up, is that it looks and it sounds fantastic. Really, the hand-drawn, colorful graphics underlined with a synthesized soundtrack really create this out-of-this-world atmosphere. And the level design is equally great because from the starting point you can go different ways in this game, and each way has a different look and feel to it. There are different enemies as well, and sometimes when you die and you restart the game, the layout of the level might change a bit. Enemy placement is a little random at times. So there is some diversity in this game in terms of level design, which is good, I think. Also, the controls are quite responsive, which is very good for a 2D platform game. You can jump, you can roll, you can block, you can use a shield. You also get this spear that you can use to kill enemies. You can stab them and you can throw the spear at them, and then it takes a little while for you to get the spear back. So there are strategic ways of using that spear, which is also great. You also have to take into consideration that you can't spam attacks constantly, since the character will move slower as you do that. So it seems that he is depleting his stamina. Again, a good thing. But this game gets a lot of things wrong in the fundamentals, even if you compare it to Dark Souls, but I think that the comparison is wrong in this case. Now, one thing that really bugged me and annoyed me is the fact that the character sometimes disappears behind a piece of scenery, maybe a rock or a pillar, which is unforgivable because you are fighting enemies and you always have to have the fight or the character and the enemies on the screen so you can see what's happening. But if the fight is partially taking place behind a piece of scenery, that is a problem, and you might die because of the game and not because you made a mistake. Now, yes, this game has a handful of bosses and they're great, and they require you to read the moves and then respond accordingly with your attacks, which is great. But to get to the boss, you have to kill a lot of mundane enemies, and these enemies are just annoying. They will just jump at you. There's no real skill in fighting these enemies because the fighting really relies more on quick reflexes and pure luck rather than the actual skill as in Dark Souls. So here's where the comparison with Dark Souls really derails, I think. Now, if you die, as I said, the game will set you back at the beginning and you'll have to start over again. There is no way to save in this game, and there's no checkpoint system in place, which I can live with. Really, I can live with that. I'm okay with permadeath in a game, and that's okay. But, like in a game of Dark Souls, let's compare it to Dark Souls. I mean, in Dark Souls, if you die, you are set back to the bonfire, but you get to keep the stuff that you found. And there's always a chance when you're doing a new run that you will be able to collect the lost souls at the place where you died. So there's always an incentive to try again and to do better and to get further into the game. But in this game, Oblitus, there's nothing like that, which means that you die, you don't get to keep anything, no upgrades, no items, nothing. And it kind of makes you feel that you're not progressing in any way. And because the game won't let you keep any items and upgrades, I find that, again, there's no incentive to keep trying. Because in Dark Souls, there's always something around the corner, and here there's none. You just have to do it again. And that makes me feel like the game doesn't respect my time that I put into it. So the game is being hard for the sake of being hard. And that's why I really can't recommend it. I mean, take another game. For instance, Rogue Legacy, another 2D platform game that had the same mechanic where as you died, you had to start over again. But the fun thing about Rogue Legacy was that you get to play a new character, or at least a character in your sort of family line that had different trades and abilities. Also, you got to upgrade the character. And again, in Dark Souls, let's go back to Dark Souls again. In Dark Souls, you could do a run, and at some point you had a lot of souls collected, and you could choose to go back to the starting area and to exchange these souls for upgrades. Again, Oblitus doesn't allow you to do that. This game is just hard for being hard, again, and I just can't recommend it, except if you are a hardcore platform enthusiast or a speedrunner. But most people will be frustrated with this game, and so the game is quite enjoyable if you watch it, but not if you play it, which is strange and unfortunate because a game you need to play and have fun with, and I just didn't have fun with this game. I'm sorry. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.